So, Foss, what do you think about that? I mean, we've been talking about these scammers in the crypto industry, but Max brings up a good point. I mean, would you call much of what goes on in Wall Street a scam covered by central banking?
In this clip from Swan Signal Live Episode 82, Max Keiser, Greg Foss and Brady Swenson discuss why central banking is a scam. Hi. It's Listen Crypto Info, and let's go to the video.
There's certainly socialized losses, right? The biggest event in my career that defined the first 10 years of my trading life was long-term capital management. And there you had, and I recommend everyone read a book called When Genius Failed. I think it's by Roger Lowenstein, but nevertheless, great book that detailed how a Nobel Prize winning economist working at a hedge fund could lever themselves 100 to 1. Okay, that was the leverage in long-term capital management. They had every single trade under the sun on the books, but the big one that blew them up was they were selling insurance to the street. They were basically selling volatility. And coupled with a number of factors in the markets those days, Wall Street needed protection. And long-term capital kept selling protection to the street, meaning to the Goldmans of the world. And long-term capital was selling vol. And they were like, I can't believe this. This is at the 99% confidence interval. Vol should not be this high. Let's say it had spiked to 60% annualized. They go, vol should not be this high. It's at the 99% confidence interval. The fact of the matter is they based it on 7 years of history, Brady. 7 years of history, Nobel Prize winning economist levers himself 100 to 1 and gets bailed out. Because guess what? If they hadn't bailed out long-term capital, Goldman would have collapsed. Solomon Brothers would have collapsed because they had all been running to long-term capital to buy protection. When you buy protection, you buy volatility. The seller of volatility gets crushed as vol increases, and that's exactly what happened. Their 100 to 1 leverage. You know, who buys insurance from an insurance company that is 100 to 1 levered? Only Wall Street. Therefore, they got bailed out.
Right. Well, going back to long-term capital management. So this was a situation where Alan Greenspan, who was running the Fed at the time, lowered interest rates to bail out LTCM. And so all the pensioners in America had to collectively bail out these hedge fund guys in Greenwich, Connecticut, as Greg was saying, socialize the losses. And we saw that, of course, in 1987 when the plunge protection team was created. Again, Wall Street's lunch was saved, but the losses were distributed to the masses, and the Wall Street was saved. We saw that in the 2008 subprime crisis. Again, the bankers were saved and everyone else had to suffer. And we're seeing it right now. There's the crisis part 2 from 2008. And everyone who's on Wall Street and is a banker is getting bailed out. And everyone else is suffering from inflation. And everyone else is suffering from price distortions and social unrest. Again, it goes back to this idea of moral hazard, which is, again, the wiggle room. When the central bankers and Al Greenspan and others, or Ben Bernanke or Jay Powell says, you know, we have the right to engage in moral hazard. We have the right to bypass ethics, morality, and the legal system to protect the functioning of these markets and to protect the liquidity of these markets. And what that's done is created an economy and a society based on fraud. So there's very little now in America that's not tied to Wall Street and therefore tied to fraud. The medical industry is now entirely fraudulent because of it's been commodified and securitized. All of banking, obviously, has been securitized and runs on a business model of fraud. The agricultural industry, the industrial industries, all of the sectors of the economy are tied to some degree to their cash desk where they squeeze out extra profits, engaging in fraud. It's just fraud. And as the dollar loses world reserve currency, Brady, the problem is that other countries are saying, you know what, maybe we don't need America. Maybe we don't need the US dollar. So in this crisis, the difference with this crisis, Brady, is that there's no coming back. The inflation we see now is not going to reverse. Gas is going at $10, $11, $12 a gallon, and it's not going down. Prices of food are going to go up on a permanent basis because the entire globalization of post-World War II is becoming unglued, and the dollar as world reserve currency is losing its cachet. And this is a new reality for America, really, since post-World War II, where the standard of life is going to drop quite significantly because of all these bailouts. The chickens have finally come home to roost.
Starboy, der Kreischow, Starboy.